Well, I've been sitting here more or less having tears run down my face like a waterfall for for all of this morning's dawn, unable to really put into words or articulate what I wish I could. But maybe words just aren't enough. Maybe maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. Even when everything can feel like there is no point or so irrelevant. Maybe that's the point in seeking out something beautiful in the world and trying to create something beautiful, even when it feels as irrelevant as a single flutter of a butterfly's wings, or as irrelevant as one blossom that you know is going to wither so soon. Because maybe it's just building up a chain or a kaleidoscope, or filling your life with the confetti of those brief, beautiful moments that give them weight and meaning and purpose. And I wish I had the words, and I wish I had the actions. I wish I would stand up on a stage in front of anyone and everyone who has ever been in our teeny tiny pixel biology corner of the universe, if I could, to say this, even though I am very shy, even though being in front of that many people is not my idea of a great time, not all at once at least. But it would be a great time if it meant I could express to all of you how much I hope that those little beautiful moments that make you and I smile, no matter how fleeting or weightless and at times irrelevant they can feel, I wonder, I wish I could do something that gives those meanings, those moments, the kind of weight that creates a foundation for us to be able to move forward into life with at least a little bit of love for that part of ourselves that seeks out joy and lightheartedness and silliness and what brings us color, even when it may be completely baffling, irrelevant, or not seem to have any meaning or purpose or point to other people. I wish I could build a bridge into a future that I don't have to be afraid of, no matter what it holds, out of those moments of light and laughter and joy and delight and the simplicity of all of it, and the joy of being able to see all of you find your happiness. That's the one true regret I actually have about everything I've ever done as Seri and then the Pixel Biology channel. I wish for all of the moments you have heard me laugh, or all of the moments we've adventured together, wherever and whenever you found me, whenever you found whatever adventures hopefully made you smile or think or just pass the time for a minute. I wish, so selfishly in a way, that I would have been able to have a moment echo back to me from you of something that made you smile. Just a moment of joy. And probably because I love my guinea pigs, but one of the things that comes to mind right now is one of our wonderful longtime patrons who sends pictures of her guinea pigs to me over the last several years. That's just the thing that popped into my head. I still have those photos of her guinea pigs, and I think for sure, and you know who you are, that led up to the introduction of the guinea pigs that my beloved husband, Chips, and I share our lives with now, who mean the world to us. And And that's an example of an echo, or the blanket that Sharon knit, or the beautiful artwork that Alari, who has carried so much of the heart of our channel, even when I couldn't figure out what colors were anymore and everything seemed dark and gray. Our artist Alari did echo those moments back. So I have had those echoes moments like come back to me from so many of you. Those are just brief little tiny examples. Not that any of you know what I mean, guys. Not that any of you guys are tiny, or especially the heart, the love, the work, the moments. But just, isn't it better? Doesn't it just feel better? To find a place that feels safe, and a little corner and a little nook where light-hearted small moments like that matter? Isn't it just better to, don't you just feel better? To be able to go to a place where you can just surround yourself in the nourishment that you need, of being able to see people be happy in a healthy, thriving way that's healthy for them and the people around them and the world around them. Even if it's tiny, even if it's small. Maybe that's just the best way to douse yourself, to immerse yourself in that kind of joy. And being surrounded by the joy of others is just those small moments. Maybe we don't have to reach any harder than the joy moment of someone else's delight over getting the Pokemon they wanted in a game, or the art they drew, or the flower they saw on their walk, or the way that their dog or cat is sleeping in their lap. I miss that. I miss that. I miss that. But I think it's right here. And I think, like so many things, you attract to yourself, not through any kind of mysticism, but just through the practical momentum of it, you attract to yourself what you try to create. That's a truism I've seen over and over again. Kindness to kindness, cruelty to cruelty, emptiness to emptiness, fullness to fullness. I think that's how I met Chips, is I finally, just days before I met him by accident, I finally reached this personal growth stage of self-love and just peace and calm and liking myself for who I was, even if that was somebody who was a work in progress. Perhaps especially because I cherished myself as being a work in progress. And days later, I met Chips, who had reached the same place, and wow. Gratitude to gratitude. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. It's been hard and chaotic. I wish I could say I understood how much time has passed since it's been hard and chaotic. But my sister and I were actually just talking about this. We seem to be permanently locked in two states of time, where it's now, the current time, but the majority of our mind and hearts are still locked in the year that she lost her son. And I think that's loss and grief and trauma and things we've worked or tried to work through. And again, thank you to Alari for telling me that grief is not a straightforward process. It's a cycle that goes back and forth through all the stages. But I never understood how it permanently, for now at least, maybe not permanently, but in a huge way has completely shifted my sense of time. So when I say it's been hard, there's not even, I don't know when I last told you guys that, but I just have a sense of being kind of dried out, like these plants, these poor plants here that brought me to tears as soon as I stepped in and saw them, and as soon as I heard the sounds of the music, I remembered how beautiful they are. And I thought, oh, I want to take care of them and see them grow. I want to be able to see all of the plants and find all of the cute little items in all of the collections, just because. And that felt so good, just because. It's been so long since I've been able to believe that just because is good enough. I I do know vaguely, on some vague intellectual level, that it's been a long time since I have been Seri properly. Well, and the tricky thing is that there's no going back, only ahead. That's another lesson that I've taken from the last few years. And because it's been so hard to nourish myself in those small moments, and because it's been so hard to believe that small moments of joy hold their own worth, and that I'm not a bad person for seeking them out, well, it's been, how am I going to feel what these little moments of just watering these plants and seeking out adventures with all of you have to offer if I stopped believing that there was worth in those small moments of joy? But the irony is, if you stop seeking them out, then you aren't there to try to figure out what it feels like to be happy over those small things. And you aren't there to live what it feels like to believe that they have worth and value, and that it's going to be okay. Even if you can't fix the whole world, even if you can't fix the big problems, even if you can't do it as perfectly or as intensely as you wish you could. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That terrifies me, though, to think that perhaps something that precious to me could be that I've struggled with returning to for so long because it just doesn't feel like there's a point to small joys and there's a point to storytelling when there's such big things happening in the world. It scares me to think that sometimes a lot of it is just showing up and letting go of the weight on your shoulders for a little while. And I think that's the point. One of the very important, vital points that really can nourish you about these small joys is the joy of being able to let go for a little while. I think that's what holidays are for, right? Or the weekend, ideally. Being able to let go for a little while to the responsibilities that you have. Maybe that's one of the reasons that working from home for so many people sounded like the worst thing in the world. And there's a lot of other conversations about that, but I have a little insight now. I, for one, have really thrived with it because it's always been hard for me to like separate different parts of my life. It's always felt artificial, and maybe that's why it's taken me so long to be able to step back into the small joys and storytelling and creating. And the other reasons, though, are quite legitimate. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes you just have to do whatever you can. Oh, poor little plants over in the corner here. To hold on and survive with everything you've got, like the last few months, actually. I don't really... how do I put it? I don't want to go into too much detail because it involves so much of my family. But hello everyone. And yeah, it's been a little while, a long while. I did not mean for any of that to happen. The lack of adventures we've had on our our Pixel Biology channel. I haven't meant to lose my spirit in storytelling or love or belief in myself or belief that it's worth it to go outside and take pictures of leaves and flowers and bits of moss to search for snail shells with my husband. We did have a lot happening the last at least how about this? Just the moments of this summer. I won't go into detail, but I'll kind of just briefly pass over them. Big health issues from myself with, unfortunately, like the autoimmune problems I'm having. Well, problems is a strong word. Just the genetic illness struggles. But that was actually quite huge and has kept me struggling for a while. But we also had okay, I'll just put it like this because it feels like, oh, I need to go through and list all of the things. It's been chaos in the way of everything from getting a concussion, playing with my guinea pigs and not noticing, oh, the metal leg of my desk is there, and then literally, like, unfortunately, hitting my head on a metal desk exactly where I had my head hit like many years ago in my early 20s. And then the chaos of that, losing track of time there, not being able to have like any sense of what's up, down, left, or right. A really bad injury. Gosh, just from I don't even remember what that was from. I think it was from tripping over something. And then basically I'm messing this up because it's just so chaotic. There were serious incidences with little ones in my family being very, very sick, and as you might imagine, like life or death sick, and as you might imagine, that was a horrific deja vu of my nephew, and it was very bad. It was very, 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 very bad, and it kind of poked a lot of the pain that is still there from losing little K. But then in the same week, oh dear, then poor Daisy ran into a wall like literally 2 days before all of that, and broke her teeth in half, and thankfully apparently guinea pigs can endure that quite well, but we needed to rush her to the emergency vet. Oh, then there was a lot of emergency vet because another guinea pig decided it was a good idea to stick her face into her hay in a way that got her eye punctured, and that was wild. And thankfully, like, they were stunned, but we were so on top of it with her that they don't even think her vision is that affected, and her eye looks completely fine now. But yeah, remember the concussion, and then the next day there's a call from some family members that somebody I deeply love and cherish and adore and respect, who I haven't been able to talk to because of other big, huge issues that prevent me from speaking to them regularly, not by either of our choice. They were passed out, and oh, their heart is not working the way it should, and wow, they've gotten older now, haven't they? And that was then waiting for the call from the hospital to see how the littlest one that they found in very bad condition was gonna do. Getting a call that, oh, by the way, the other side of the family over here, this heart thing just happened and they were found, and it's like, what? I just got a concussion. How's this all happening? And then waiting to hear how the emergency, like, spinal and heart surgery goes there, and you can kind of see how I'm tired just thinking about it. And yet, I'm tired just remembering it. And the fear and the way that it hurts when you realize that you cannot save them all. That you cannot... There's nothing you can do to work hard enough to do hard enough. Even if you weren't sick. Even if you had triple the energy or even just double. Because life happens too. And that doesn't mean giving up, but that means that time is going to pass, and that means that forces way outside of your ability to control are going to change the landscape and the options of what life looks like. And it really hurts to think that you can't. You really wish that there was, that you could just figure it out, that there has to be some sort of magical thing you can do to take care of all of them and to do better. And there's such a deep belief seeded into you from the way that you were raised and the culture you were raised in that says that if you were good enough, if you worked hard enough, this wouldn't happen to the people that you love. And that's not true. But it's a hard truth, especially being raised as I was, with the belief that that there was like a moral connection. There was a, if you work hard enough, you can make anything happen. Because I kind of did for a while. I made dreams come true. But they were always building steps to the biggest dream I had, of being able to make my family happy. Finally. Of a day I dreamed of my whole life. Of holding them all safe and happy in a beautiful home where we could relax and smile for a moment. And it can be really hard to remember what the small joys of storytelling are for, held up against the weight of that lost dream. Oh, and then don't forget the house fire. There was a house fire last week. It was chaos. And then just as I got all of that cleaned up, we lost power for a long time, because there was some windstorms that caused issues that knocked out power for thousands of people in our city for a while. And that was just after I had finished downloading updates for several games and thought tentatively, oh, maybe I could do it this time. And you know what? I've got the waterfalls going again because it's still so beautiful here with all these plants and flowers, and they're small pixel joys, but they lift my spirit. And I think that's the big lesson that I'm learning as I am figuring out the future. Those big, giant dreams that are so popular to see everywhere. The old ones that I haven't seen for quite a while, but that used to be prominent, of like, oh, like for example, reach 1 million subscribers or things like that. Just to give an example of like those big things, start your own company, run your own business, buy a house, things like that. Those used to be what you would announce and kind of build and structure your life around. And what you felt like people were watching and waiting for you to do. Those big dreams of having the whole family safe and happy under one roof just for one moment, one holiday together, one summer day with picnics and everyone being kind to each other just for a day. Of the pain and stress off their shoulders if I could just work hard enough just for a day. To see their joy echoed back to me without the weight of the world on them if I just work hard enough. Those big goals right up there next to things like 1 million YouTube subscribers or whatever. That was the equivalent for me. And I think that's why the word kaleidoscope hasn't left me the last few years. Like a mosaic. I think that there is a way to build a path forward, made out of light and love and laughter. And it's not going to be one solid big piece of a bridge. But smaller moments that you can catch in between everything else and focus on and celebrate and cherish and defend and hold on to long enough for them to solidify from that fleeting moment of joy into something solid you can use to build your way forward. One moment at a time, until you've built yourself a bridge into a future that you can be a little less afraid of. I think that's the lesson I've learned from all of this. I don't know the big grand sweeping announcements of, oh, I'm going to do all of this, or going to revolutionize that, or going to bring in so many stories and adventures and do these big things. Yeah, of course, I still wish that I had that kind of clarity. I wish I could understand that kind of clarity again. But I guess this life update is just to say, even if it's a little imperfect in its consistency, even if sometimes the world is shaped outside of my control, isn't it better? Isn't there finally at least a sense of a little bit of nourishment? If instead of trying to strive for the whole thing at once, we can just move from one bright moment of joy to the next and believe even if they're like small pebbles in our hand right now, they'll build up into such a beautiful future. Thank you. A chaotic life update as usual. It's been hard. I've had a really hard time being able to believe there was a point that I was good enough to tell stories and adventures. But it's like I said earlier, one of the consistent things I've seen in life over and over again is we do tend to attract what we make. And even if you feel shaky, even if you feel sore inside, I think it's worth it to find little pockets where you can put the pressure of the world to the side and just like who you are and delight in what you're doing for a little while. No matter no matter what anyone else might think, because they're not right there at that moment with you either. Just space for joy and discovery of the risk and rewards of taking the chance to see just how happy you can be being yourself. That's what it used to be like, creating stories that I would archive and share here in this little corner of our pixel biology community universe. Just because making the videos made me feel like my joy moment journals. Like I had a collection to reflect back on and to help my memory and to help me focus and build up the stories even more. So I think that's the lesson I can at least tuck into the pile of the thousands of adventures we have, and the lesson I can put on the layer of what I've learned so far in life. I've never ever lost the hope that there will be thousands more. And I've never lost the desire to disappear and immerse into the worlds of the stories we tell again for a little while. I just lost the confidence because my heart was broken. And it's so hard to give up on a big dream that meant everything to you. But if we can't have the big piece, oh friends, at the very least, search for the small pieces. The world is only going to be better if you do. I promise. I promise.